What's up, Finstock Nation? What's up, Dolphin Nation? I'm going to quickly read to you some moves the day after cutdown day that the Dolphins made to try to strengthen depth, and a surprising move that they had to put somebody on the injured reserve non-football contact list. So we'll go ahead. This article was earlier today from David Furonis. The Miami Dolphins' depth on offensive line was a concern to start the 2025 season, and the reinforcement is on the way. The Dolphins are bringing back veteran offensive line tackle Kendall Lamb. Dolphins general manager announced in a press conference Wednesday morning. Lamb was with the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason and training camp, but he was released Tuesday and didn't make the Eagles' initial 53-man roster. Lamb, 33, joined Miami late in the 2022 regular season, first on the practice squad, then on the active roster. The 10-year veteran was a reliable reserve swing tackle in 2023 and 2024, starting 15 games whenever called upon for an injury to left tackle Teron Armstead or another tackle. Greer said right now he's healthy. He feels good despite concerns over Lamb's previous back issues. The Dolphins were entering the 2025 regular season with Larry Broom, Keon Smith, Daniel Brunskill as their backup offensive linemen behind starters from left to right: Patrick Paul, Jonas Avaianaya, Aaron Brewer, James Daniels, and Austin Jackson. Miami also has Andrew Meyer on injured reserve and Liam Eichenberg on the physically unable to perform list, available to be activated after 4 weeks. In order to make room for Lamb, the Dolphins are placing cornerback Cam Smith on the non-football injury illness list. Smith, a 2023 second-round draft pick who has fallen short of expectations and been a victim of injuries his first 2 seasons, was on the roster bubble on Tuesday cutdowns, but he was kept on the initial 53-man roster, although he wasn't seen at Tuesday's afternoon practice. Greer noted Smith had practiced and played well in the past 2 weeks of the preseason, leading up to roster cuts. As Jason Sanders is on the injured reserve to start the regular season, the Dolphins are planning on signing kicker Riley Patterson to the practice squad, Greer said. Patterson, who turns 26 on September the 7th, when the Dolphins season opens in Indianapolis, is 63 of 74 on field goals in his career since 2021. Greer said the plan is for the team to use 3 practice squad elevations on Patterson to cover the first 3 games of the season. Sanders, who has an active streak of 27 field goals, must sit out for the first 4 weeks on IR, as the Dolphins officially signed cornerback Rasul Douglas on Wednesday morning. They waived safety Jordan Colbert, an undrafted player in 2024 who made the initial 53-man roster Tuesday. The Dolphins also claimed cornerback Julius Juju Brents, a 2023 second-round pick by the Indianapolis Colts out of Kansas State from the waiver wire. Brent is 6'3", 198 pounds, has appeared in 11 games, starting 9, and has totaled 50 tackles, 1 interception, 6 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 recovered fumble. Last season appeared in 2 games, making 1 start and totaled 7 tackles. His season ended on September 10th when he was placed on injured reserve due to a knee injury. All right, guys, now we're going to listen to the press conference, the full press conference of Mr. Chris Greer, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Unlike some past Marches, there wasn't big free agent spending spree this year. Was a decision not to give out those huge contracts to outside free agents a decision that Steve Ross recommended to do something differently? Was it something that you and Brandon Shore recommended to Steve as a new way of doing business? And I say this kind of in jest, but might have saved a lot of aggravation from fans if you had spent big money on a corner in March to sort of check that off the list. Obviously, cap space would have had to been created to do that.
No, Steve's never given us a directive on how to do it. We meet with him, Brandon and I. Spend time with him and Tom Garfinkel and obviously Mike, and we talk through our plan. And every year is different. We've had years here where it's been all draft focused for a couple years, and then at some point you have to reset. And when you go and you make aggressive moves like we had made for a few years, you have to reset again and start it over, because it's just not sustainable the way the contracts are with players and what they're making now. So in terms of directive, no, it was just for us, it was just good business sense, working through it and trying to find value. But we also had to get younger, so we added younger players. And, like a year ago, we were one of a couple teams with all the 1 year vet contracts and stuff. And so we're in a different spot now, adding the young players. So that's the direction we're going right now. And we've been very happy so far.
Whereas a number of people in this room, including me, have raised serious concerns about your secondary, especially your cornerback position. Do you think we're making, to borrow your phrase, do you think we're more concerned about it than you are?
Oh, you're turning it on me, huh? I know Coach Weaver and Mike have been, very, honest with you guys about it as well. We feel good about the room, adding Rasul Douglas in to the group. We feel was good. We've been talking to him throughout the summer, as most of you guys have known. Getting Minka added to the group was huge for us. Some of the young players, they're young corners. They have opportunities now to compete and make plays. I will tell you that Cam Smith is going on NFI today, so that's a little bit of a change. And also where we are right now, we're probably going to be aggressive here through the claims here this weekend today to make hopefully get a couple other players at positions and add them to the roster. So we feel good about that group. They've competed. They've done well, all spring and summer battling. A lot of the stuff that we're working on are not things that they're going to be doing in regular season games, because you're not game planning, showing things to teams. So it was good to see them out competing and working. And we've been very happy with it. And I know you guys have heard some of our receivers talk about how the guys have done a nice job, throughout camp and stuff. So now listen, they're young. Some of those guys are young. They got to prove it. And but we're excited about what the potential could be. But they have to do it now and for real, starting next Sunday.
What finally worked out with Rasul Douglas, and what gives you confidence he'll be ready in short order here?
Rasul's a consummate professional. Like, he's always a guy that's trained, keeps himself in great shape. He was excited when we talked to him. It's just a matter of when you're working through things. It's, veteran players, they'll always go through their process of when they're ready and talking to teams and working through stuff. So it was just the timing worked for us to just get it done last night, or 2 nights ago, I guess.
As far as him being ready in a couple weeks?
I think so. We'll see. He'll be out there today, so we'll see how he looks. He's got some time. He's got to get used to the South Florida heat, but he's been in Dallas and stuff training, so excited for him. He's been a player that's very smart, instinctive, tough, competitive, so I'm really happy to add him to the group.
How confident or concerned are you about offensive line depth?
We're a little light there right now with 8, but we like some of the guys. We'll be signing Kendall Lamb here later today, back to the roster. So Kendall's been a good player for us, in the role he serves. For us, I think the best thing that happened, and is for me, just is for the experience for Larry to play and get some experience with the ones. Austin, obviously we need him back. He's a really good player. He's trending for playing week 1. Excited for him to be out there. But I think to get that group out there together, the starting 5 playing together was good. But it's good for Larry, who was coming in, learning a whole new technique, systems of doing everything. And coaches are very happy with him, as our teammates and stuff. He's been a really good fit for the room. And James Daniels has done a nice job coming in at guard as well. And the 2 young guys on the other side getting all that work throughout the spring was good. So getting Keon Smith back was really good because he can play tackle and guard as well. So we feel good about it. Daniel Brunskill's been a veteran that's played in this system for a long time. So he gives us, some comfort there as a backup. So we feel good about it, but we know they have to go out and play, and it'll be, exciting to keep them and see what they can do as a group. But very encouraged and excited, as you've heard Mike and the coaching staff talk about.
Chris, you mentioned a little earlier about Kendall's back issues that ended the season prematurely last year.
Yeah, he'll go through his physical this morning. But I know in Philadelphia he practiced every day and did everything. And talking to him last night, he was in good spirits, said he felt good. So I just think it's one of those. Right now he's healthy and feels good. So we don't really have a concern right now.
Chris, from a distance, it seems like there's been a focus on the line of scrimmage the last couple of years with Chop, Patrick Paul, Jonah, Kenneth Grant, James Daniels. Is that the case, and if so, what prompted that?
No, I mean it's always the D lines are always and offensive line are always key, and we were fortunate here for defense for so long with the 2 D tackles we had that played more snaps than anyone, and they were always healthy, and so it was you kind of took it for granted, I guess, because they were good players who just played every down and great motors, and so. For us, adding to that depth and offensive line, we've always done a little piece here and there, whether it was, Connor or Armstead and then Brewer coming in. And so we've always, over the last couple, done 1 or 2 guys, Patrick Paul a year ago, even before. So it is important. I think now the focus, because we're so young with some guys in there, that's why it's, probably showing up, and they are big people, and they played well so far, but now they got to do it when it matters.
Chris, you said earlier, you used words reset and younger and try to change things up. This franchise hasn't won a playoff game, as you know, in a quarter century. Those words, do they still line up with the possibility of this being a team that can finally break that drought?
Well, yeah, in terms of reset, it was just talking about the money, philosophy, and spending and stuff. But like I told you, that we were always going to try and win this season. It's all about winning in 2025. There was never going to be a step back. I think you guys have been around the players and in the locker room and talking to players. It's been a little different down there in how they've approached things, and we saw it from day one in OTAs. Like the offensive and defensive groups would stay out on the field on their own, which I'd never seen here in years, for like an hour after OTA as a group by themselves in their own time, walking through stuff, going through, holding each other accountable. The stuff you saw like in the joint practices where our guys getting on each other about competing and stuff, that hadn't happened here in years. So it's a different mindset, led by Mike, that we talked about right from that last team meeting at the end of last season when he told them what it was going to be. And it's been that way, and the players have responded incredibly. So we're excited. We're going to try and win as many games as we always can, and we feel good about the group and what it could be, and so we'll see how it plays out.
Chris, you mentioned earlier Cam going to NFI. We've seen him out here. Did something happen, and is he out for the year?
With NFI, you don't really talk about what's going on. We've had other players here that have done that. Cam had some of his best ball the last 2 weeks. He's been really good. So we'll see what happens. We'll work through it, and then we'll see what happens down the road.
Chris, regarding Darren Waller, has there been any kind of injury? I know that Mike had said, get him in football shape. I think he said there's been no setback, but has there been any kind of injury that's kept him off the field?
No, right now you've seen him out there working and running. I think when someone's taken that much time off from football, we've been around it where they come back faster and try to do it all, and then they get hurt and gets worse, and it ends up being a whole mess throughout the season. We've dealt with that before in the past, so we're kind of being cautious and smart on it. So you'll see him out there, as you guys have seen him each day, doing more and more, and it's just us being smart because we want him available for 17 games, rather than come out here and prove something in preseason and then he pulls or gets hurt and then he's out for a while. So this is us about managing him to get him ready for week 1, and he's been fantastic in attacking. He's been in every meeting, special teams. He has been dialed in, enjoying it. So he said he's having the time of his life. So we're really excited.
Do the Dolphins need a playoff appearance or a playoff win for you personally to consider the 2025 season a success?
For me, it's our goals are always to be playing good football in December and January and win games. So ultimately, yeah, our goal is to get in the playoffs and try and win games. So at the end of the day, I don't really judge anything for myself or what it is. It's about the team and the organization, and so we feel good about the players here and the coaching staff and this roster to help us win games in 2025.
As a front office, how satisfying is it to see like late round draft picks right there on the roster for guys like Jason Marshall and Ollie Gordon II? And did anything about their preseason performance exceed your expectations compared to draft day?
No, I think the one thing you never know, obviously, when you come into an NFL camp is how they're going to react and stuff. So, Ollie in the spring was it was an acclimation for him to the NFL. Like he came in a little bit heavy and doing it because in college he had gotten bigger, trying to protect himself after he won, the Doak Walker. I think he played about 10 pounds heavier. So he got here. We told him, no, we need you down a little bit. So unprompted, we just told him that. He came back to camp. He was like 9-10 pounds lighter. And has been great for us. Jason's the same way. You don't even know he's out there. He's so quiet. He's a really good person, but just works every day. Just comes in, puts his head down. Was proud of him. He had a little hamstring for a day, and it's something he had bothered. And then he went back out there and has not missed a day since. Been out, competed, played through it. So it's been good watching those guys grow up. But all of them, from Jordan Phillips, all those guys. I mean, they've been out there, and this whole group of rookies has just come in and just put their head down, and Grant, all these guys. It's been really good watching them. Quinn has been really good. People talk about his sense of humor and everything, and how smart he is and works through it. So the whole draft class we've been very happy with, and as we talked about before, we needed those guys to contribute, and they're going to have to contribit and play this year.
You mentioned Jason Marshall Jr. How confident are you that he can play the nickel for a full season, in light of the fact that is a position he's never played before?
Yeah, I think just at that position, and it takes a guy that have the right mentality, because it's not just a cover position. You're in there taking on guys, blitzing, tackling, and he has shown a willingness and has been fearless throughout the spring doing it. And we were even talking the joint practices, how he was in there pushing guys, going in, being physical. So I have a lot of confidence in him to do it. It's a challenge for him, but he has not blinked one bit. And so we know there'll be growing pains with it, and we'll live with it. But for him, we have all the confidence in the world that he'll be successful, and looking forward to how he plays this year.
Chris, I'm not sure the direct role Tua plays in conversations with you with personnel decisions, but can you talk about maybe his role and what he wants the locker room to look like in the communication with you about that?
We don't really talk to players about what we want the locker room to look like. It's, when Mike and I talk, this is what it's going to be. And so obviously when that's laid out, we talk to the leaders of the team and say, this is, how it's going to be. And we do take input for them. But at the end of the day, it falls on Mike and I for how the locker room and how things are handled in there. But the one thing I will say, we have a lot of strong leaders. And, I would say one player that is, for me, well, two players that have stuck out have been Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer have been phenomenal in the locker room, handling stuff. Having Bradley Chubb back this year has been great. Like, he's been fantastic. So Alec Ingold, you guys have been around. There's a lot of quality people in there, and Tua included. And, Tua's been outspoken on things with people and handle it. And that was a huge step for him from you guys that have been around him for years. So it's been good that, the message is being carried on, and those guys believe in it 100%, which is watching this team together has been pretty cool.
So your point on that
with the locker room and changes, people working after practice. Part of that was getting rid of some people. Jalen Ramsey, you guys was a big investment, and we have talked to you since then. Could you just talk about the need to move on from, and change the culture was a big word.
Yeah, I talked about the whole Jalen thing a little bit in the spring when people were asked. I know the trade hadn't happened, but we talked about it. But for us, it was just getting the right group of people for the changes we wanted to make, and make sure that everyone was all about football in this team. So I know some of you guys have heard stories and stuff, and I'm not going to go into, things that were said, and that's for you guys to do. But those guys that left, I'm happy for them. Like Jalen and Johnny are good people. I didn't have any issues with them. I know getting Minka back was a big piece for us. I've known Minka, obviously, I drafted him. I know what kind of person he was, what kind of leader, and how he loves ball, and his impact in that room and on the team has already been really felt because Mike has talked about it, and the players have seen some of the things he's done on the field. But it was important for this team and these people and the young players we're having in to know that this is the standard and what we're going to be and how we're going to run here. And so it's been very good thus far.
Chris, were you surprised to get a player like Minka back I mean, you had said that you wanted to trade Jalen Ramsey, and we've been kind of, led to believe that when it's public knowledge a player is going to be traded, like the return is going to be lower. Were you surprised to get that quality of a player back for somebody that the world knew that you wanted to trade? Or was that always the goal?
Honestly, I was shocked, but I was very surprised that we were able to get him. But I do know that Pittsburgh had liked Ramsey a lot for what he can do in his skill set because he's a very good player too as well. So, and getting Jonnu for them too was important. So I think the way you look at it is they got two players that they liked, and we got a player that we had coveted too as well. So it was a win-win, and we got a draft pick as well, win-win for both teams.
Chris, you talked earlier.
What excited the most about this roster? As you guys get ready for Week 1.
To me, it's we're younger, we're faster, but I think it's a closer unit group. And obviously, seeing your shirt there with the Stanley Cup, we had Bill Zito brought the Stanley Cup over because Bill is a friend of mine for a while. He actually tried to sign my brother when he was a player, when he was an agent, to sign my brother. So Bill and Matthew Tkachuk came over and talked about how the uniqueness and closeness of a locker room is so important. And so hearing that again just kind of reiterated everything that we've been talking to the players about how spending time together. Like you've heard the players talk about the 10-day road trip, how they weren't fired up, and then after they're like it was the greatest thing that ever happened. Like we truly loved it and had a really good time and getting closer. So that's what I'm excited about, that these guys are all going to play for each other and try and win football games. And it's not about individuals, it's about winning as a team.
Chris, one of the last times we spoke to you, a topic that came up was Tyreek and how you felt about him having to mend fences, and Tua has talked about that. What do you see in that regard, and would you be comfortable with him as potentially a captain again on this team?
Yeah, whatever the players decide, and Mike on the voting, that's up to them. But Tyreek has been, like I told you, unbelievable since the whole offseason after he got his wrist surgery here. He's been unbelievable. He's been around every day. He has worked tirelessly with his team. I think he's closer to a lot of his teammates than he's ever been. And that's just me personally watching his interactions. You've seen him at the joint practices on the sidelines during games. Like, he is 100% invested. Like, he's in the joint practices over there talking smack to the other team in the middle when things are happening. And like, it's been fun to watch. And his teammates are all 100% behind him. I know everyone's making comments about him and Tua, but those two have been closer than I've seen them ever before. So it's been really cool watching him embrace his teammates and them embrace them. So it's been really cool.
Is there anything new on the pursuit of a replacement kicker? I know you brought in four yesterday for trials.
Yeah, we're going to sign to the practice squad Riley. So he's going to do for the next 3 games.
All right, guys. Basically, he spoke about Cam Smith. They asked him about the injury, and he was very vague. They're not going to be open to the fan base. They asked him about the culture change. They asked him about Tyreek, and he says Tyreek has been good and behaving and has been a good player ever since his wrist surgery over the past couple months. Also, they asked him about Darren Waller, and he said he basically gave a PR answer. Basically, Darren Waller, they're taking his time with him because he's coming out of retirement, and he's known that if you rush people, they can end up getting hurt. So who knows if Darren Waller will play Week 1. They asked him about other things, and he basically gave PR answers. So I don't think the fan base, including myself, will get direct answers. And he said that they're going to be scavenging the waiver wire for the next couple days to try to improve the team, and that they're doing a financial soft reset in regards to getting the team. He said he liked that they're getting younger and that they're more athletic than last year. And he mentioned that they're going to sign the tackle that I mentioned earlier. Also, guys, before I let you guys go, I appreciate your support, and leave comments down below of what you've heard so far. And one more thing, as of right now, we have 15 of 16 slots filled on the practice squad. The first player they brought back, B.J. Adams, cornerback. Cornell Armstrong, cornerback. Quinn Bell, linebacker. Braden Daniels, offensive line. A.J. Henning, wide receiver. Alex Hunley, defensive tackle. Derek McClendon, linebacker. Riley Patterson, which is a replacement kicker for the first 3 weeks. He's on the practice squad. Josh Freeby, O-line. Hayden Rucci, tight end. John Saunders Jr., safety. Theo Weiss Jr., wide receiver. And they brought a familiar running back is back in town, and he's on the practice squad. Jeff Wilson, running back. Tucci, tight end, and there's one open slot. He was signed from the Giants, and Jeff Wilson signed to the practice squad depth at running back position. So Jeff Wilson is back, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about the practice squad. There's one more transaction that they can do, so there's one more slot for the 16th player of the practice squad. So who knows if there'll be more transactions on the 53-man roster and the practice squad, because there's one more open slot. But I'll keep you posted on that. And like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and go Dolphins.